Hello everybody and welcome back. That's right, it's Halloween. In this episode, I went to a store called Party City and I bought some mechanical bat wings. They're cool, they move, but I want to make them a little bit more realistic and more creepy. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. There they are, the bat wings. They're super easy. The design is cool. You wear this in your back. Of course, I'm going to replace these elastic straps because they eventually just wear out. But it's got a little fabric in these rings you wear in your fingers, and you just kind of pull them down and ta-da! That's awesome. I'll show you guys. Little pulleys, cables, and these just hook onto your thumb. And the cool thing is they're adjustable. You can get the length that you like, put them in your hand, and when you bring your arms down, they fold out. I want to modify them and make them just a little bit. The wings are nice, but I want to make them a little longer, which makes the wings a little bit bigger. So the first thing we're going to do, fabric wings off, which are nice, but I'm going to replace this and make this a little bit bigger. Flip that off. That's it. See? Not much to it. What I end up doing is I had these guys on the rig and I just traced out. Show you real quickly here. Here's the wing I'm going to make. That's where it sits and falls. And I went and traced onto a piece of paper and drew out the wing that I prefer to make it a little bit bigger. So I went out and got some real sheer, this is actually a curtain material. For now, that's what we're gonna work with. And I like it, it's semi-transparent, but that is our size. Now, the thing I've noticed on the wing is that I have to extend this part here. Got the armature wire. I had some, usually I use thicker armature wire, but unfortunately had some thin stuff, so I just kind of put it on a drill and spun it. And I'm going to glue that into here. I want to go ahead and drill a hole in the plastic. And the reason I drill a hole in the plastic is it gives the hot glue something to bite onto, because if you just go straight in here, my fear is it might just get popped or slide out. So I want to make sure that the glue has something to stick to. So I'm going to drill a hole through here. Oh, goes in. You want to stick this guy inside like that. All right, that's the left side. Let's go ahead and do the right side as well. All right, we have the bat wing extenders are all glued in. My next step is I want to fabricate on top of these, but I don't want to go too, I like the idea of keeping them thin, so I'm just going to wrap 2mm foam around them. So I'm just going to get a little measurement. I have some craft foam right here. I have my strips cut, set them aside. Now, before I put and glue them down, this plastic has got a really smooth surface, and I've always found that when you're doing stuff like this, you definitely want to rough it up. So I just want to put a little bit of a bite and screw up the surface, so the glue will stick to the foam a lot better. And what we want to do when we're sticking the glue is make sure that these stay in the center, so it wraps around. I'm just going to have the seam in the back half. Wrap it up. And this will do the same thing. I'm going to wrap it. More of a taper, it's fine, because I take my blade, sharpen it, I'm going to cut off a little bit of the excess on the back half here. These pieces that sit inside the wing, this is actually going to fit inside the fabric. So I'm going to make these out of foam. And I'm going to number them so I don't get confused. This is 1. And this is 2. That's the inside. Next one, step it out. So I got these parts. I'm going to put these onto 4mm foam right here. Put a sheet of that. A pencil. Same thing here. We got some paper down, which is great. I'm going to now brush some contact adhesive. I'm going to brush some contact adhesive on the edge of the fabric. But looking good, but I tell you what, before we do anything else, I want to put the little fingers, but I'm going to put that on the inside of the wings, so I have to flip this over. But before I do that, I have to let this dry first. While you were gone, we have the wings. I went ahead and took some contact adhesive and just glued in the little foam webbing, the little fingers. The reason I'm taking alcohol and wiping off the Sharpie mark is that most of the people out there in the cosplay world, if you're building costumes and painting things, Sharpie has a tendency to leach through. So if you're making a costume and you do some Sharpie marks on it, you want to get a majority of this stuff off, because if you do not, this Sharpie will leak through the paint job. I've sprayed latex on this, plasti dip, and paint it, and the Sharpie still comes through. The wings are coming along, looking great. The next step I want to do is make sure all this stuff is covered with foam. So I have craft foam, and I looked at these guys, and even though the shape is all right, I still want to add something in here. I want to make sure I cover this plastic, because once I get this all covered with foam, I want to seal it with latex. As you can see, this kind of runs a little long, and it just kind of comes and ends, and I wanted to make it a little bit more dramatically sharper. So I cut some foam along here. New plan, people. We're going to cut these guys off. After exploring the internet, I found out that the top of the bat wing is actually like a little thumb. Yeah, kind of like that, like a little bat thumb. Now, I tell you what, before I cut these out on the bandsaw, I realized there's going to be a lot of grinding, so I'm going to set up my downdraft table. All right, there they are. These are the knuckles. We cut them out on the bandsaw, and I'm going to proceed to do some grinding to kind of round everything off. It's gonna make a lot of dust. This is why I have the downdraft table. And again, people, wear your mask. I'm going to clean them up two ways. I'm going to put on the end of an X-ACTO knife like this, so I don't have to hold it. I'm going to take a torch and burn the foam. I don't know if you guys can see it. See how smooth it pulls it all together? It's the raw foam. This is the one I hit with the torch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wood burner and draw those lines in. Line up, put a little bit of an angle to it. Oh, I just realized something. On the original design, on our wings, we had knuckles. We had a knuckle here, and there's a couple knuckles here. This looks great. I'm really happy with it. We'll get this prepped to start stippling and covering this with rubber latex, or better known as Poly Latex 60, as my seal coat on this. So that's what we're gonna do next. The wings, I went ahead and sealed them with some rubber. I went ahead and had some Poly Latex 60 left over, and I brushed contact adhesive on top of the foam, then went back in with a thin coat of rubber to seal the foam up, and now I'm going to seal with some hex paint. What I'm doing, Hexflex Clear, and I mixed a little bit of Berman's Flesh Tint. It's a concentrated tint for rubber latex. I thought this might work, so I added a little bit of that. This paint is all right, but I've realized it's going to take a while in multiple coats, and I just want to speed this up. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some acrylic paints, let that dry, and then go back in with the airbrush. All right, here it is. We got our first coat on. This is the front of the wings. I went in with the acrylic and touched all the little fingers. I left these bare because my plan is to put some fur on these. The reason I'm going to put fur is the fur is going to hide the mechanisms. We can see the big hard edges and all this kind of stuff, so I'll put some fur on. But now I've done this, I have to flip it over and paint the back half. There's the wings, they're all dry. I painted both sides with the acrylic paint. Now what I do is I want to get in with an airbrush and start aging and feathering all this stuff in. This fabric, I went out and got some, I have a bunch of really great golden airbrush paints, different colors and whatnot. So I'm going to thin them down with alcohol and start to proceed to airbrush them. As you can look on the foam, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little bit of white on the edge. I'm definitely going to airbrush on the edges to kind of fade this in a little bit more like the skin. And we're going to start off with the, I think it's a burnt umber. I'm going to use my Badger airbrush. We're going to load this guy up. I realized too the pressure on my airbrush was dialed up way too high. So I dialed it down to 25 PSI. There are the wings. I am now going to take some red. I have red in here, and I'm just going to dust it big. This is the transparency, doing different colors on top of other colors. I learned a lot of this in the working in the makeup industry with friends painting monsters and things. They would watch these guys work, and they would just do layers of different colors on top of each other, like reds, blues, and yellows and stuff, just to kind of do this. And I would think, what the hell are these guys doing? And then by the time it was done, it looked amazing because it's just different colors on top of each other to create this tone of human flesh. It was really interesting. I have some really strong red paint in here, and I'm going to do veins. Like you see here, I changed my airbrush. This original was a Badge, this is the Paasche. The reason I'm changing out because there's a technique, a little spatter technique, and what I use, I dial the pressure down on the compressor to where it's really low. And I have my color. I have my color, the brown, I thin down with alcohol, pour it in. And the trick is to open the bit up on my tip is pretty wide. And the reason I'm doing this is so when it spatters, I'm trying to get a spatter technique. So I'm gonna open it up, do a little bit of a test here. Ooh, that's quite a bit. Again, I apologize. I don't know if you guys can see this in the video, but it's the subtlety. It's really pulling it together. I love this. I love the spattering. The spattering effect is done. I end up doing a dark brown. I did a blue, and I spattered a little bit of red. Now, again, I'm gonna try to hold this up the camera so you guys can see it. It's hard to see on the. If you guys can see the slight, the heavy spattering on it, it just helps breaks things up. Again, it's far more impressive in person than it does on video, but we're almost there. With some black acrylic. They're all properly aged, painted, spattered, the technique, they're done. I'm moving on to, I had some fake fur left over from a costume I made, and I think this is really gonna help accent it because I like this mechanism, but I kept it open so you kind of see it. Because it needs to be open for the freedom of movement. You can see it's just a big open piece of plastic. So we're going to cover this with fur. So now with some super glue, I got some Zap-a-gap like that. I'll take this part here, stick it right on top. You can see the purple again. If I thought about that, I would maybe use black foam, but when in doubt, get a black Sharpie and get rid of that purple. I like the fur at the top, but I want to do a little bit more on the back edge here. So let's do, I want to do a strip that comes back here. So let's get a piece. Now when I'm cutting, I'm being very careful only to cut the back side. I don't think they need to be that wide. So changing plans, I'm just going to cut this super thin and glue the strip on the outside edge because that's all I really want to do. Now again, if you guys want to be ambitious, you can definitely cut pieces of fur and take contact adhesive and start like do little thin chunks of foam. I might be doing that around the knuckles, I think, when I get this thing done. This looks really decent. I have an idea. Let's try this on and see how it looks. There they are, all done. Again, as you guys can see, I went ahead and added a little bit of bird to the top of the edge of the wings. It was a blast making these guys. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. This video came live from my Twitch stream, which I do every Monday and Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's on twitch.tv/EvilTedSmith. If you guys are watching my videos for the first time, don't forget to subscribe. And I have links for these wings, not the ones I made, but the actual wings that I use, a link below the video. Again, that store is called Party City. Halloween's around, guys. Start buying stuff, making things. It's going to be awesome. While you're at it, go to my website, eviltedsmith.com. Check out my patterns. It's a good time to buy them now and get started on your Halloween costume. Oh, while you're at it, and shop through my Amazon links. And I'll catch you back next time right here on Evil Ted Live. Happy Halloween.